I've completed the carving. You can see it's still on the backing board, which is attached to the adjustable holding device. The reason is that I think these ends are a bit fragile. The grain here goes in this direction, so this is a thinnish, weak area. So whereas I would have normally split the paper first on a carving and then wax it, what I'm going to do is wax a carving on the stand and then split it. Before we do the waxing, take a bit of very fine sandpaper, this is 240 grit, and just wipe it over the carving like this. So to make it tactile, make it so there's nothing really sharp, because people will touch it. So you're just going to wipe the surface like this, then make sure it's brushed off well. And then we're ready for the waxing. The sort of wax I want to use is like this. It's thin, like yogurt really. And the reason for that is that there are lots of crevices in the carving that will be easily bunged up with wax if I don't keep it thin. Also, to get this wax into the crevices, into the carving proper, what I've done is I've put the same mixture of wax into this jar, which is in a pan of boiling water, or now very hot water, and of course it's melted. So what I've got is, of course, liquid wax, and I'm going to put this on with a long haired brush like this, fairly stiff. Now as the wax goes into the crevices, of course it's going to dry. So what I'm going to do is wipe it off on this cloth and make sure it's not bunged up, and work very carefully around the carving like this. And if I find it does dry, if I have got wax filling in the crevices, I can of course use my hairdryer to warm the wax and pull it out with this brush. So in a minute I'll flip this up and do the other side here and the end. I'll let this go off, and then I will take off excess like this, and I will dab more and take off excess until I really feel that I've got nothing in the crevices. I'll then let this wax cure, and then I'm going to, in other words, go hard, and then I'm going to burnish the whole thing either with my rags or with another stiff brush, some sort of brush. I hope you can see the beautiful colour that this wax brings out, lovely yellow lime wood. The wax itself will take a week or so really to go off. It's got to evaporate, so this will remain tacky for a little while. I might come on and put a second coat on, in which case I'll put a thicker mix of wax and probably just brush it on, so the thin wax is really sealing inside and the thicker wax just protects the outer edge. So I'm going to leave this for quite a while, a few days, see what happens, and when I come back we'll be taking off this backing board. It's 4 days later. I've added a couple of wipes of thicker wax, and now the whole thing has gone quite dry. So it's a lovely colour, nice and finished, and the next thing I need to do is take it off. And I can see now around here the edge of the paper. So what I can do is get my spatula and find the actual paper in there, and keeping it flat. Remember, I'm not going to be levering it. I'm going to try and work this along into the paper. Quite hard work. I also have to come back this way a little bit. If I can get it in here. Okay. So that's off there. So you see how that was well supported here. That's great. Around from the side of it. Start on this edge, I think. That's just popped off there, it's lovely. Did you see my deliberate mistake? Well, of course I can't take it off because I've actually got screws in here. So next thing I have to do is unscrew here, of course, and the thing will come off. Well, that made it a whole lot easier. Here are the screws here, screw holes. That's what was stopping me. Otherwise it popped off very quickly. Here's the backing board here. Here's my swag, looking good. I've cut quite well into the edges, so not a lot of cleaning up, but I will take my knife and I will go around and I will just make sure everything is tidy in those corners, because this is the silhouette. Then what I'm going to do is to remove this paper, or at least to flatten it and remove most of it. I've taped a couple of sheets of sandpaper onto my bench, and I'm just going to rub it like this. And then we're going to rub the other side like so. And this will take a lot of this paper off. So let's get on with this. So I've got almost all the paper off. It's certainly flat. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, these little ripples in the paper, but that's a flat surface now and can be glued onto something. And with that and a bit of dusting, the carving's finished.